everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's video we're going to look at the 10-minute opening of Shane Gillis hosting the ESPYs, the Sports Awards, which is something I know absolutely nothing about, but I do know about comedy. So what we're going to do is break down the performance, see what comedy basics he's using, some very well, and sometimes he relies on the basics a lot, because this is a pretty difficult audience and Shane Gillis is a little out of his comfort zone, having to tell pretty much exclusively other people's jokes. He had writers for this, he even admits it himself, and there's nothing wrong with that, but this is a comedian that shines. He's one of the best at delivering his own style at his own pace, and now we can see one of the best a little bit in a discomfort zone, which is just really unique for us to be able to break down. Okay, with that being said, before we jump in, if you are a performing comedian and have footage of yourself on that stage boring the hell out of your audience, I would love to check it out. I do a positive critique on videos, performances up to 10 minutes long. If you're interested in that service, drop into the description box. Send me an email. I would love to check out your amazing or shit footage. Either way, I can probably point you in the right direction. Okay, so let's jump into the good stuff. Here we go. Shane Gillis hosting the
Hello. Welcome to the 2025 ESPYs. I'm so excited to be here in front of so many amazing athletes. World champion Freddie Freeman is here. Give it up for Freddie. Yeah. WNBA legend Deanna Taurasi is here. Give it up for her. My bad on that. SGA is here. Give it up for SGA. Hell yeah, bro. And now everybody sitting around him is in foul trouble.
Boom. Okay. All right. So that's the intro. Whew. Okay. It feels a little bit strange. All right. So he comes out, and the first thing he says is, "Hello." I doubt that was a scripted moment. I would just say, with that shit music the band are playing, and with you walking out, and yes, there's a couple of people clapping, but a lot of people, especially people you know who they are. Shane's a sports guy. He knows who the people in that room are, and they're just sitting there like, it's not what you want to go out for a comedy opening, especially when it's the beginning of the night and you're the host for the entire night. This thing probably goes on for fucking hours. All right, so let's break it down. He starts with a hello, which is like the magnitude of the event. He's playing kind of that down, right? So he's been promoting this event for so long. So many people have been talking about the way, oh yeah, did you hear Shane Gillis is going to host the ESPYs? And a lot of people are talking about the fact that he's doing it now, and they're talking about Norm Macdonald doing it back in the past. That pretty much iconic performance that he did, where he just pretty much called everyone out. Amazing, because Norm Macdonald can only be amazing. So to come out on stage and just go, hello, is downplaying the magnitude of what the event is. And then he immediately jumps into what I call MC shoulders, where it's like you're the host and you have to be that kind of general, aren't we all having a good time way of talking, which kind of isn't the way Shane is on stage. Not many comedians, if any, are natural hosts. If anything, they kind of struggle at that, because when you're the host, you need to put on this kind of a thing where, yes, this is all fantastic, this is great, and you can't downplay yourself. Now, you can, but it's not the same way Shane would on stage. The reason Shane's comedy works so well is because he's able to downplay himself. He's able to make fun of himself in a really deep way. Therefore it gives him the right to make fun of everyone else, because he's just going, he lets you know that, hey, we're all just having fun here. Where he's going to go into here is pretty much a monologue calling out other people and then doing a joke. Now the problem here is we love Shane and we know Shane, so the work for us is already done, because we've seen his stand-up specials, we've seen him on all those crap podcasts he's on where he's the only good thing to watch. We've seen all of that. So he's already won us over. This is an audience that hasn't seen all of that, especially a sports audience where they're just like practicing whatever it is they do all their life, and then they're doing what they do all their life. They don't have as much time as I have to waste an entire day looking up everything Shane Gillis has ever done just because I like to watch him. It's not the same, right? So we're already won over. We're already in the category. The only reason we're checking out this footage in the first place is because he's hosting it. I know it's the only reason I even know the ESPYs are a thing, because I wouldn't even know it happened. Okay, so besides all that, what does he do at the beginning of the set? He goes directly in to calling people out who are here. It almost feels a little like, to me, like there's a moment lost. Like there's something that should have happened, a general intro, and then start to call people out. Now, I know it's only 10 minutes, and also who am I to, start calling out the way the writers were to host, to work on this set. But I think that there's a huge moment missed here. Now, when I do the critique videos for you guys, and most of what I say on this channel is always about you need to come out at the beginning and do a general themed joke about the room you're in, or about something in an immediate situation, about something that everyone can all notice. To just directly immediately go into the audience, and you see hosts of shows doing this, sometimes they start immediately asking the front row where they're from and are you together. It's fucking boring. Like, you can be great at work in a room, and that can be a good part of your set, but for a host to come out straight away and go into that, although Shane's great, and I love him, and he's an incredibly charismatic comedian, I just think there was a huge moment missed there where Shane could have had at least a minute where he spoke about sports in a general term. And once he got everyone warmed up to the idea of his act and his style, right? Because no one there, a lot of people don't know who he is. Not nobody, but a lot of people don't know who he is. And that moment was lost. He just went straight into saying such and such is here, such and such is here, and then he kind of fumbled the second one, and then he waited for the rule of three. When he went to the third one, he made the joke about everyone around him fell and all that kind of stuff. It was an okay joke. But also, Shane can get away with telling an okay joke because his delivery is just so charismatic, and a lot of time people say you shouldn't laugh at your own material, but that's absolute rubbish because Shane laughs at his own material and it's just amazing to watch. It makes you laugh even harder. So I'm not dissing Shane, I'm dissing the setup of this night. It was one of the few times I've seen, especially a comedian like him, where it just didn't really land. I felt that there was a moment missed. Anyway, we're not going to, we never dig too much here on the negative on this channel. We're going to get further into the good stuff, which comes right now.
Megan Rapinoe could not make it tonight. Nice. No, we're going to pretend she's a good time. All right. John Jones and Nate Diaz are here. Hell yeah. I had a couple drinks with those guys last night at the hotel, and it was terrifying. Donald Trump wants to stage a UFC fight on the White House lawn. The last time he staged a fight in D.C., Mike Pence almost died. All right. No, you don't have to do that. It was fine. I didn't write it. Actually, there was supposed to be an Epstein joke here, but I just got deleted. Must have probably deleted itself, right? Probably never existed, actually. Let's move on as a country and ignore that.
Boom. Okay, I gotta jump in here. I mean, that jokes to me sounds so Shane. It sounds like he just improvised it in the moment and that it was not even included in the writing. But am I gonna really believe that? No, maybe not. Maybe it was all planned, but it felt so beautiful and natural. Like, the whole setup to it, like he tells a joke and he goes, oh, it's all right. I didn't write it, right? Because it's known that like they got writers for that and jokes have to be passed and all that kind of stuff. And that's perfectly fine, right? So, you don't go to these to these sports shows and Oscars and any award shows to see the best comedy. They're all going to be written beforehand, and that's fine. All we care about is getting to see one of our favorite comedians come out and do it. But that joke there about Jeffrey Epstein is just so, like, talk about a current event, right? And talk about, like, just the way he delivered it is absolutely perfect. He says one thing, and there's no other bit of information said, right? He just brings up the Epstein joke. There should have been an Epstein joke here, but I guess it got deleted. Now, the very fact there should have been an Epstein joke there, that puts the current situation in the people's minds, right? Oh, right, well, there was it, and now it's gone. Well, the audience can, in 2 seconds, relate that to what's going on in the current event, right? With, like, Donald Trump turning around and not releasing all the files. Right, okay, well, we know all that. We can do the audience can do a lot of work there. And then Shane just helps him out. He goes, well, I guess it got deleted. Or maybe it did, and then that's a joke. That's a secondary punchline. That's a tag. And then, well, I suppose it deleted itself. Boom, a third one. So we're staying here. Now, I'm always telling you guys that's what we need to be doing in our comedy sets. For your jokes, you need to set them up with one little small idea. Bring them to a place, right? And once you bring them to that place, you reward them for coming with you and for listening to you for more than a second by making them laugh about whatever it is you set up. So, it was supposed to be an Epstein joke there. And a few people can kind of go, yeah, I can see where he's going with that. And then, well, I guess it got deleted. And it's like, okay, boom, right, now we're rocking and rolling. Oh, I suppose it deleted itself. So what in your writing, if you say something about, your perception of what you do as a job, or, what age you look, or the relationship you're having, or the friends you have, or that time you did that thing, and what tagline can you add on to every single one of those punchlines? What third punchline can you add on to every single one of those punchlines? And I want what your page looks like, rather than just, a setup here, and like, the time I did this long-winded story, and that gets to this punchline over here, and then there's another setup, and I explain this, and then there's a punchline there. No. We want to turn that on its head. We want more punchlines and less setups, less pieces of information. Let's get to it. Let's get them laughing consistently. And if we work out doing this bit, a fantastic bit where we have 3 punchlines after one little bit of information, great. You've done the work. Move that later on in the set, because you know it works. It's going to work for you later on, and create more laughs before that bit works. That's the way we need to be looking at the material we've worked out that already exists. Because when you write out your first ever set, you never need to write another set again. You can have a whole fresh set by just looking at the hidden punchlines that are already existing in this. So this is just done to perfection with that Epstein joke. All right, let's move on.
The New York Knicks had a great season. Yeah, hell yeah. Karl Anthony Towns is here. Hey, girl. Max Crosby is here. Max, I hope you had a good Juneteenth, brother. Oh, that guy's weird. 4-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players.
All right. Like, we gotta jump in. That has to be one of the best jokes I've heard in a long, long time. And this is it. Like, you're allowed laugh and celebrate your own genius, or even like the creative genius of you and your team when you came up with that bit. Or even if it was written for you and you had nothing to do with the creation of it, but you get to say it on stage, right? I don't care. This thing about like, you shouldn't laugh at your own material. Fuck that. This is like, if the majority of the room aren't going to like it and are going to be offended by it, and you know that you're onto a good joke, just do the joke if it's that good. Later on in this same set, we're going to get to a joke that isn't that good, but try to punch the same. Now, there's a difference between a joke that is kind of going to cross the line and is just brilliant, and a joke that's going to go across the line and you shouldn't have done. Now, here's the thing, right? So you might be thinking, what's how do we know a joke that's going to cross the line that we should do and a joke that's going to cross the line and we shouldn't do? Well, the problem with that is deep down we know what we should not say. But I'll tell you now, if you're a comedian on a stage and you're a creative, you're going to live in that joke anyway. You are going to say it. It's like, I noticed there's been so many jokes that I shouldn't have said, and I said. And so many times after I've come off stage, you go, fuck, that didn't work. I should not have said that. But I will make the same mistake again, because I do. If it's going to die, I need to feel how it's going to die in order for me to know that it wasn't the right thing to do. If I say, no, I wrote this joke, I'm really proud of it, but I don't think I should say it. I don't think there was any life in it, even though I edit it and rewrite it. I just don't think it's right. The message is wrong, and it needs to hit too hard, and I just shouldn't do it. And I go, okay, well then I should definitely do it, because, I should definitely ruin that bit of the show and upset some people in order to feel like, okay, well then I definitely shouldn't have done it. That's going to be you too, right? If you've got that kind of a comedian and you want to do some jokes that are across the line, that's just what you're going to have to live with. You're just going to have to live with the time when, oh God, let me tell you a story about this time or this time or this time. And, and then you have a couple of people annoyed at you online. And to be honest, that's all that happens. And it's happened to me too. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So let's move on and just celebrate that. Amazing. It's a comedian on the stage getting to do a joke that is well written and should have been said. And it's just beautiful. Let's move on, and maybe later on we'll uncover what shouldn't have been said. But we're grateful that it was.
That's crazy. You clap for that. Simone Biles is here. Yeah, hell yeah. It's not bad. Simone Biles is 4'8" and has 7 gold medals. She's short and has a lot of gold. When she's not competing, she leads a quiet life at the base of a rainbow. It's a leprechaun joke. If you tell Simone a riddle and she can't answer it, she has to give you all of her gold medals. That was the best one.
Okay, let's jump in. I mean, normally I let these things play on longer, but let's just think about that joke for a bit. I think it's a terrible joke. I just don't like the writing of it. But let's defend it, right? Let's defend it. I just don't think it's all that funny. But I think if Shane was to write on his own, and I think if Shane was to have longer, right, because he has to get all this in 10 minutes, and he has a lot. It's almost like people want their name to be said, right? They just want their name to be said. I don't think sports people are that egotistical. It's not like the Oscars where they just, they would rather die than have you not say a horrible thing about their name. Once their name is mentioned, nothing else matters. They just want their name mentioned. But if the sports guys, I don't know sports people. Maybe they are that egotistical. I would be very surprised if they are. But Shane has to get through this monologue, and he has to mention all these people. And they want the people to be on cameras, so it looks like, oh, look at our event attracted all these people, and isn't it still prestigious? And so there's a lot of other things going on here, and Shane is just, the messenger, and he has a job to do. And so I think if there was more time given to just a comedy, Shane understands pacing 100%, and he's a great theory worker. He just knows funny, as well as being just funny and charismatic and having all that talent and hard work behind him, and a great writer. He just knows stage funny. He just knows how to be funny. But this joke feels like it was worked on and by a few other people who didn't really understand his timing. To me, the reason it didn't work was because Shane wasn't given the right way in which this joke was to work. If you go back and look at it, it seems like way too many words are in there, and especially for the build up to the bottom of the rainbow, and it's just a very confusing, the height and the gold and then the rainbow, and then then he has to actually say it's a leprechaun joke, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different ideas going on. The best jokes are going to work when it's just one little call to action. I set up one thing and then I knock you down. And we're just thinking about, the size, the height, the gold, the rainbow. I know it all connects, but we're learning too much information as the joke progresses, as the joke unfolds. We're painting a wider picture in our head all the time, and by the time we catch up to what the joke is, it's like, oh, it's not all that funny for how much work we had to put into thinking about it. So okay, so I that's why I didn't think the joke landed. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you. Half makes sense to me. All right, let's move on.
Joe Rogan actually wanted me to be here to host this award show so that I could capture Adam Silver because Joe thinks he's an alien. And Donald Trump wanted me to be here to capture Juan Soto for the same reason. It's an alien joke. What you booed up there, dude? Shut up. Aaron Rodgers did not take the vaccine because he predicted it would be bad for him. And then he joined the New York Jets. So maybe he wasn't right about everything.
I love that. Like you see a few people. Okay, so two things there. Like one, when someone like booed or whatever, Shane goes, "Who's booing up there? Hey, shut up." That's pure Shane, right? It's almost his character from Tires, you know, which is not him, but you can see where he would get that character from. And like, so yeah, that's lovely. I love those little moments. Not that I would tell you to do it on stage. Like I wouldn't, if someone, well, I don't know, maybe I'd drop kick them. I don't know. If someone, I don't know, booing I don't like. But if someone like, you know, didn't like a joke, calling them out and saying shut up is in itself a joke. Like, you know, he's not serious. It's a joke, but it's a joke that he can get away with because of his like, just his the style in which he like aggressively goes on stage and says, no, I don't care, we're going to do this style. He kind of has that subtlety to him where it's just real, it's lad humor, and it's like, it's just unapologetic is the word I'm looking for, really. And so for him to be able to go, hey, who's up, Duke Boone? Shut up. And he laughs. It's like that kind of, like Shane's certainly not a bully. He's charismatic, but he gets away with being a little bit of a bully sometimes, which is really unique. We don't mind Shane as the bully, because we know he's not, because there's just something about him that he's able to manage in his character to go, well, he's just so charismatic. He's such an obviously decent guy, and he is the kind of guy you'd like to have a beer with, or 15, as long as it's not Bud Light. But he's that kind of guy, and yet he can be the kind of high school jock buddy. He can play that part too, and we like him for it. So I love seeing those tiny moments of, hey, who's booing? Shut up. Okay, great. And that was my other thing I wanted to say. When the camera pans to somebody he's talking about and all that kind of stuff, you can hear the laughter in the room, right? And you can hear a bit of an applause. But we're thinking about, like, there's some press, there's some fans of Shane, right? There's some friends of Shane in the room. And that would make up a chunk. That would be loud enough on the camera because there's microphones everywhere. And they want to pick up good moments. They want to pick up the audience having a good time. But it's very funny when you see the camera panning to these sports people. And they just, like, they're either like this, or they're like this. And I don't know which is worse. I don't know what I would rather see more than people just simply, like, really letting me know that they don't respect me by just going, oh, when's this going to... I mean, we've all seen that at open mics, right? You've been in an open mic where there's 8 other comedians who are all going to be massively successful. Definitely, right? And they're all just like this on their phone, and you're on stage, and then it's their turn to get up, and they go up and they do their amazing bit, and they just kill the room, right? And yeah, and then the other people are like, oh yeah, the cameras are on me. Oh fuck, and it's like, oh god, Jesus, I don't know who. That's a tough gig. That's a tough gig. I hope Shane can't see any of those people. But then again, it's Shane Gillis. He's kind of been there and done that at this stage, and he's just having a good time. I love watching it.
Shedeur Sanders had his jersey number retired at Colorado this year, and people are saying it's because of nepotism, because of his father, and it's not. It's because he went 13-12 over his career, and he almost won the Alamo Bowl. Definitely not nepotism, right? All right. It's a big year for the WNBA. I love Caitlin Clark. Yeah, hell yeah. Caitlin Clark, she and I have a lot in common. We're both whites from the Midwest who have nailed a bunch of threes. All right, there you go. Lighten up a little. This is not serious. We'll see about this one. When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist fighting black women. Yeah, hell yeah. Who yelled? Drewski? Thank you, bro. Oh, John Jones? Yeah. What are you, nut jobs over there? Hell yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's just a guy having a good time and his friends are over there and he's just like, yeah. It's almost like, it feels almost like that friend you love, like your best friend is getting to go up there and do it. You know what I mean? Like he's looking back at you and he's kind of like, and you're like, oh yeah, do the thing, do it. And he's like, oh yeah, I can't believe we blagged our way into this. I can't believe we found a pass on the ground outside when we were drinking cans. And then like I showed it to the guy and he goes, oh yeah, you're the host. And it's like, oh, I can say what I want. It almost feels like a little bit what Shane is doing. It just like we really get to live through someone who's just having such a great time and kind of a part of him goes, what the hell is going on? It's not like he walks out there all swarming, just kind of going, oh yeah, like I'm the host and all professional. He's just going to be having a good time. All right, so also
Shohei Ohtani couldn't make it tonight. Man, I hope his interpreter didn't bet that he was going to be here. Shohei is a once-in-a-generation talent. No one's been able to do what he does at so many positions, pitcher, hitter, and bookie. A bookie is what Bill Belichick reads to his girlfriend before bedtime. They do. They read The Very Horny Caterpillar, The Little Engine That Could But Needed a Pill First, and of course, the classic Goodnight Boobs. That was my favorite one. Also, I'm not trashing Bill Belichick. First off, he's 73 years old and he's dating a hot 24-year-old and people are criticizing him? What happened to this country? We used to be a great country. He won 6 Super Bowls. Yeah, he's dating a hot 24-year-old. Maybe if you guys won 6 Super Bowls, you wouldn't be sitting next to a fat, ugly dog wife. They let me do it. I don't. This is Disney. They allowed that. Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. I was at we should have taken that out. I had doubts going into that. That didn't work all week.
Okay, boom. Wow. All right. So what happened here? Right, this is the joke I was saying about earlier on that shouldn't have been said. But should have, you know? I'm happy it was. It should have been said, but it shouldn't have been said. I've already described why earlier on in the video. Okay, so he has a great bit. Now, again, I'm not a sports guy. I don't know who these people are. I've never heard them before, right? But he sets up a joke about the... I get immediately what he means by, you know, oh, by the way, also a bookie is something that he reads to his girlfriend. I don't even remember the name of the guy. It reads to his girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, that joke is so good, I know exactly what he's talking about. I don't need to know who the guy is. That's great comedy. I don't even need to know what age the guy is. I can guess. I can guess that's the only way that joke can be funny, is if it's a much older guy, has a much younger girlfriend, and then when a bookie is something that he reads to us. That's brilliant. Okay, right, you've given me, that could have been said by any person in an older relationship. Any joke you have about bookie, he said it, and then about someone else that was current to them, and he used it as a transition. Oh, a bookie is also, okay, what person is going out with a younger person, and we can say that's what they call a bedtime. Great. And then he has that's funny in itself, right? That gets a couple of laughs. Brilliant. And then he has 3 other punchlines, 3 other scenarios of what the book would be called. He's not just leaving it there. 3 other things of what the kind of book is, what it would be called, and each time they're the same arena, right? He always stays there, and it kind of gets sexual innuendos. He's using wordplay. Brilliant. And then he stops. There's a moment where he stops, and the joke a little bit changes. It kind of changes the momentum, and he starts talking about what happened to this country. And this is where it starts to go, the rhythm is gone. It's not just about the writing. It's not just about what he said and the harshness of what comes later on. It's you give us this line we like with the Bucky is also what he calls it. We read at bedtime. Great, we love it. What a great premise. Even me, the first time I heard it, I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I thought it was very funny. Great. And for an outsider to just look in and know what the situation is, even though I don't know these people, that's strong comedy. That's good writing. That's good stage delivery. And then the next 3 follow-ups are excellent because I'm liking it, so we're staying in the arena. Then he stops, and it's about, he points out this reality of it. He's in the 70s, he's in the 20s, and what happened to this country. And it's humorous for people who like that kind of, where is he going with this? Because it's sometimes we tell an audience something and it's humorous, but they only laugh because, only some people laugh because they like where the unknown is. It's like the people in the room who like the roller coaster rides are going to be laughing. But that's only 25-30% of any people. So some people like the shock, or like just the, that kind of side of things. And so it's not going to get everyone laughing, because it's like, we're only laughing because we know it's going somewhere. We know you're going to have to finish this bit. Now, Shane could just go, hey, okay, what happened to this country? Oh, moving on. And then he just goes on with it. But he knows the energy is dead. If you move on from it after saying something, the energy is dead. If you wanted to have the best, easiest way, you would have moved away from the joke after doing the 3 examples after the big moment, right? So you say about the Bucky, you say the double meaning of it, and then you give the 3 examples, and then you move on, and you ride that energy out of that joke into such and such is here. Who else is here? And you just move on like the night, like you would, like he's been doing all night. But instead of that, he breaks it. He breaks that moment. He breaks that speed, the pacing, and he goes, well, what's happened to this country? And this is a very different style of the joke. It's not just a comedian digging in deeper punchlines. He's broken the chain of punchlines to stop everyone even laughing. And he's going, hey, and he describes the ages. What's happened to this? So where is this going? We're now listening to him, and he's taking us on a tense journey, if only for a short time. And then he describes a few things as if to say, this is what he deserves. He deserves to have a younger woman, right? Now, you can agree or disagree with that on a real level, but that's not what we're doing here. We're in a joke. We're supposed to be in a joke where it's humorous, but it feels serious. And if you're going to raise the tension that much and break what people loved, they were happy with you in this category, this smart writing category, brilliant. You just did some great comedy. And then you broke it only to lean into the audience and then say, fat dog wife. They were the last 3 words of that punchline, of that entire bit. So regardless of what the words are, you're telling me you're going to stop me from laughing at the material that you set up and you brought us here. We were really happy. And then you took us away from this moment and gave us this line that we don't like, regardless of the line was. And also about the line, Shane and anyone else knew this line. They probably rewrote it, or even if it was a thing that Shane really wanted to say, it was never going to work. Fat dog wife is never going to be the end. No, I take that back. Fat dog wife could absolutely be the end of a perfectly good joke. But not this one, not the way this was done, not the way in which you broke the rhythm, not the way in which you built it back up again when it was already up there. Not the way this was done. Now, what's great about it, and what I like about it, is Shane, this time, didn't go to the audience saying, hey, come on, we're all having a good time, like he has done before with the jokes that work. This is the difference between a fantastic comedian and not so great a comedian. Shane knows how to win it back. In this performance so far, we've seen people clap and laugh a little bit. Not a great audience, but clap and laugh at the jokes they like. And Shane highlights it. He goes, yeah, come on, loosen up. We're all having a good time. This isn't serious, right? Great. So that's rewarding a tough audience. Because it's the beginning of the night. He wants to reward a tough audience when they like him, when they applaud him and when they give a little, when they get into it, when they get involved in a joke, he wants to reward them with that. But when they didn't, when it was clearly the wrong thing to say, he didn't say to the audience, "Oh, come on, lighten up, we're all having a laugh." You would lose them for the entire night. He said, "Oh, we shouldn't have done that bit," and the audience go, "Oh, thank you for helping us out of that." Because if you agree in a joke, in a kind of a light-hearted way, going, "Oh, that one was never going to work," and then he furthers, he's so good, he got himself out by saying, shouldn't have done that one. And then he goes, "We're going to tell you a story," and he goes back to it because he knows the moment isn't gone yet. It's not saved. And he goes, "Oh yeah. It didn't work all week." That's funny. That's the last line he says. He said a few lines about it. He even gives you a few punchlines as to why it doesn't work, saving himself every single time he does it. And then he finishes off on the line that didn't really work out well, but I think it's the funniest of the whole lot in that wrong moment, where he just goes, "It didn't work all week," as if like he knew, as if every time he said it to himself, every time he workshopped it, it was always bad. Anyone he had in front of him where he said it, they were like, "No, don't do that," and he still did it. And that's the kind of Shane that we know we're going to get great comedy from in the future, because you need to know these moments are not worth it. And the only time you know that is if you've fucking done it, right? So if you just said the thing and you go, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that," and fantastic, like brilliant, and a great moment that we all feel really uncomfortable watching because it wasn't executed correctly and the joke was not as good as it could have been. And then also made better by the fact that we get to watch one of the current best doing it, because he knows how to get out of it, and he just made a moment of, rather than blaming them, he just puts it on himself and puts it on the writing, and "Hey, they let me do this, they let me say it, oh, I shouldn't have done it, great, let's move on." And then he goes into the next bit. So okay, let's watch the next bit.
It was not, yeah, go Birds. Yeah, go Birds. Yeah. But I was down there. I'm just going to tell you a story real quick. It's not a good joke. It was halftime of the game, and we looked up, and you could see Donald Trump. He was sitting in the suite, like at the 50-yard line. You couldn't see him, but you could see like his silhouette. You know what I mean? He was just... Also, can we stop pretending Donald Trump knows ball? It's like a weird thing where they're like, "Man, he loves sport." He doesn't know anything about sports. Every time a team comes and visits the White House, he's like, "And you must be the guy who catches." It's like, "Look at these guys, big guys, black guys." And that's just when the New York Liberty visited. They didn't visit. That's just a joke. But it was halftime, and we looked up and we saw Trump. I was with my buddy, and I was like, "We should just sneak up there and try to meet him." And we did. We got into his suite, which turns out it's pretty easy to get access to Donald Trump, which is probably why he keeps getting shot all the time. We just got right in there. But we're in there. He doesn't know who I am, but there's a line of people, and he's just shaking hands with everybody. And I was at the end of the line. But also, I took a picture with him, and I posted it, and people got upset about that. What the hell? He's the president. If Osama bin Laden was in the suite, I would have been like, "Yeah, you're crazy." All right.
Boom, I gotta cut in here. I mean, otherwise we're gonna go, I can watch him talk like this all day. This is where I really feel he strays from the format of the show, right? He just wants to tell a story. And this is like, he mightn't have even had this story, he might have known the story, the roundabout what he's gonna say, but there's no real end to this. This is just Shane Gillis being Shane Gillis. This is what we love. This is where we're happiest. I'm always talking to comedians about, you gotta find out where the audience are happiest to watch you. What topic do you cover on stage where they're like, "Oh, this is where we're most comfortable"? And everything outside of that, once you find that out, that's where you need to stay for the majority of the time, because everything outside of that is going to be a stepping stone, regardless of how much we make them laugh about it. It's a stepping stone away from where they're most comfortable talking to us. So, and this is perfect Shane Gillis. Just talking about Donald Trump, neither in a positive or a negative way. He's just talking about it. And he's saying, like, he's highlighted the time he took a picture of Donald Trump, posted it, and got a backlash for it. And he goes, "Well, I would have done the same with Osama bin Laden." It's like, "Oh, you crazy bastard." And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, this is just a comedian playing. This is a comedian having a good time. Like, why, and to watch a comedian play like this on a stage, it feels like he's strayed away from the script. It feels like he's just having a moment to just say a story and to work his way through a story in front of an audience and tense what it's like to go, oh, this is an area going nowhere, that's an area going somewhere, and there's nice pockets of laughter here and there, but there's a bit of tension throughout, and it's lovely as a creative and a comedian to watch that, because it's how playful is it that you're just having a moment. Maybe the whole thing was scripted. It certainly doesn't feel that way, right? It certainly doesn't feel like the rest of the set where he was having to call out people, and you can tell he wasn't as confident in his speech. His pace wasn't as good as it is now. Although it was lovely, it wasn't as good as it is now, because this is Shane just digging in and telling a story and his way and how he sees the world and the ridiculous nature and where he's successful now, but he's still bringing that boyish like fun and charisma to everything that he's doing. Amazing to watch.
So now it's me, Trump, and Ivanka. They're not talking to me, obviously, but I can overhear what they're saying. And Trump goes, Ivanka, how would you like to meet the president of soccer? And sure enough, the president of FIFA soccer was also in the suite with us. He was getting like nachos. And Donald Trump just looks at him and goes, you. And the guy put his plate down and walked straight to us. And then Donald Trump didn't even look at him. He just kept talking to his daughter, and he goes, this is the president of soccer. And they gave us the World Cup, and they did that because of me. And then he walked out of the room. It was just me and the president of FIFA looking at each other like, that was crazy. That was a dumb thing to say.
Brilliant. I mean, what can we learn from this? Like, this is just fun. It doesn't have an ending. It just says that was crazy. It's just a story. It's just a story for story's sake. Not everything on stage needs to be important. The journey here was the humor. It was how good. I mean, there's no one better on the planet as doing a Donald Trump impression as Shane Gillis, and the fun he had around that. It wasn't just that he had a great impression to show off. So, like, a lot of comedians get on the stage, well, I have this great impression, or I have a great thing to say about this topic. Therefore, I'm going to have to bring the whole audience to this area just so I can do this great thing. But the thing might be great, but your impression isn't going to go down very well if you take the audience over there just for that. There needs to be an other more reasons, as many reasons as possible as to why we'll leave one topic to go to another topic with you. And that's what he's done so well here. It's just so lovely the way he's able to describe the nature, and it's almost like we're in the room, because none of this is unbelievable to us. Even the fact that from the beginning of the craziness in having the access to the room, how he finding out how easy it was, and you don't need to meet Donald Trump and be a massive celebrity in order to get these kind of laughs. In your own writing, you can think, what was crazy that you did? Was it a crazy job position you did? Did you go out with a girl that was way hotter? Did you go out with a guy that was way hotter than you? There's some women watching this channel, right? Hello, all three of you. And so in our writing, can we think of something crazy that we can't believe we did and just get to the same thing? We can recreate the entire joke in our own life. But the great thing here is that's the point. It's the creating a story that's humorous and fun. And one of the greatest of all time to do that is Norm Macdonald, and he gets a mention at the end. Norm Macdonald is one of the best ever to just tell you a story that might not have a payoff, it might not have a punchline. And that could not be further than what the majority of new comedians are doing today. Most new comedians are getting, especially if it's like 10 to 20 gigs, maybe even to 50 gigs, we're getting up on stage and we're leading the audience with too much information to get to one joke. And what we need to be doing is turning that on its head. No, the journey to that joke should be just as humorous. It should be laugh, laugh, laugh. How can we make it absurd? How can we make it silly? And don't just think just because he's saying the thing of Donald Trump and doing the impression, well, he has an out because he's this star. I can't meet Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is so humorous. We can say anything about him and can get a laugh. That's not true. You can say that about any topic that you ever want to cover. There's always too many jokes. We just need to find them. That's the truth. That's it. And that's going to be the better comedian is always going to be able to find more jokes and not make his audience swallow too much information. All right, let's move on.
That was a dumb thing to say. It was crazy. That was crazy, being in that room. It's crazy to be in this room with so many legends. You guys are awesome. Oscar Robertson, that's awesome. Sugar Ray Leonard's here. Hell yeah. Sugar Ray, you're the man, but in 10 years, Jake Paul's going to try to knock you out, so take it easy. There's one thing I want to say before I get out of here, and this is a dumb joke. You guys aren't going to like it, but it's just a Norm Macdonald joke that I loved when he hosted the ESPYs, and I'm going to do it now. Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy this year. He's the first defensive player since Charles Woodson to win the Heisman. Congratulations, Travis Hunter, winning the Heisman. That's something they can never take away from you, unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case they can take that away from you. Well, see, a lot of you don't like me, and that's okay.
Boom. All right. Let's. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so it's a weird thing for a comedian to go up and do another person's joke. It's a weird thing for me to go, I'm going to do another person's joke. I love it. I'm all for it. And the reason I'm all for it is because Norm has a special place in all our hearts. Like, I hope there's someone watching this episode and you're still watching it, right? The chances of this is very small. But if you're watching this episode, you're still here at the end and you don't know who Norm Macdonald was. I envy you. Or a lot of people might be thinking, how dare you even watch a comedy channel and not know who Norm Macdonald is? I hope there's someone, because that means you get to go and look up who Norm Macdonald was and you get to watch all that for the first time. And he's got just hours and hours of incredible footage. Every time he was ever on TV, every chat show he ever did, any stand-up he ever did, it was just a masterclass of comedy. He really is one of the funniest, best of all time. And to have one of the current rising stars rightfully in comedy to give a huge shout out on the same stage many years later after Norm has passed away is just magic. I love it. And he's using a joke that's definitely not going to work, just like Norm would have wanted. All right, I hope this has been beneficial. It's the first time on the channel I kind of had a little bit of negativity to say. But then again, I'm always pointing out negative things to say. I just don't really put them online because I want us to enjoy comedy. But I'm certainly not negative against Shane. I think he's awesome. I just think moments in that set could have been a lot better. But I'm grateful to have seen them because that's what comedy is. That's what comedy is always going to be. That's why AI, I'm not worried about it, because you cannot make a good comedian online because it's about getting it wrong. It's about the imperfections. And sometimes we're going to get it wrong. And if you're too afraid to get it wrong on stage, then that's just too sad for you because you're not going to get to live in the successes. So get ready to go out there and die in front of a few people because that's all just part of the game. That's why we're all bulletproof when it happens, and then we can live in the moment when we are successful. So go out, get writing and get performing, and I'll see you in the next video.